So he was more of a textualist, which I believe is, again, I anticipated the Supreme Court upholding, quote unquote, birthright citizenship because of the plainness of the language. So if you read the language plainly, it's no longer complicated. And if you share the values of democracy, once you are trying to undermine democracy, then, in my humble opinion, you're no longer a good fit for this democracy. And if we have not already created a bulwark against those who would undo us by using our very values, then we need to create additional bulwarks. And I think there's no good argument against doing that. But once again, I'm talking about Mamdani.
What do you suggest those bulwarks would be?
I don't know yet. I think we have to begin to think about what they would be.
What do you think?
You want to ask me again? Same answer.
Oh, okay. Great. An idea with no solutions. Got it.
It's not an idea. It's a question. We have to be unafraid of questions.
Right.
Are you guys only talking about this case? Caleb, are you guys only talking about this case? Or you're talking about the other rulings too?
No. Norm brought up a different matter.
Okay. So, but just this case we're talking about, not the other ones that came out
Just
this
this
morning?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, we got onto this tangent from, we started talking about, should we amend the Constitution to allow presidents to be non-natural born citizens? And then, we've been all over the place. So you want to take it someplace else, feel free.
Chatting. Is there another decision that's interesting to you, Abby?
Pardon me?
Yeah, there was the FTC decision.
So the decision on girls in sports, you've heard me talk about this because this one hits home for me because my daughter played sports at Penn, which was the original story that broke this into a major issue with Leah Thomas. And my daughter had to deal with the issue of men in the locker room. She was not on the swim team. She played for a different sport at Penn. But it's very personal to me. I was thrilled about this decision because I also believe in women's athletics, and I think that what was happening was hurting women's athletics. I think that they came to the right conclusion.
It's a personal zen.
I also think even in the dissenting
people
opinions,
like this,
I mean,
that
again,
need to
I
learn
haven't
the
read it
power
all. I'm like listening to news coverage on it.
Spirit.
And just listening to what the concurring and the dissenting opinions are. There's a need, even the liberal justices understand the need to protect women in sports. And also they pointed this out on the news.
Hello?
It's like polls at 70% of the country is pretty much in favor of this. So I think that was a good ruling. I think it matched the feeling in the country.
It just made sense.
Yeah, it made sense. And, the big question, so there's 27 states that have this law, and the question will be if, the other states will follow suit. This gives them the ability to follow suit. If they don't, and they enact laws that allow for the transgender sports, I think it'll be challenged, and rightfully so. But, it's definitely something that the Republicans ran on and ran successfully.
Abby, okay, I agree with you. If I ever am interrupting you and preventing you from getting your thought out, please let me know. But sometimes I jump the gun, and I apologize.
It's cool. Go ahead.
Okay, with that intro, Abby, I certainly agree with everything you said, but I'm really interested in the electoral implications of this. And my read, not a politician the way some other people are, but my read is that of all the issues in America, if you look at every single issue in America, what swings the swing voters, that is the swing voters in the suburbs, the college-educated swing voters in the suburbs who sometimes vote Democrat, sometimes vote Republican, it is my understanding that this issue is the number one issue that has been shown to swing the votes. So I'll try to be succinct. You could be a soccer mom in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and you really think Donald Trump is a piece of shit, and you're repulsed by him, and you believe in everything the Democratic Party stands for. But a man with a penis comes into your daughter's locker room and waves his penis around. That, in and of itself, the waving of the penis by leftist progressives, is enough to persuade a swing voter to vote Republican. It is a very, very powerful, visceral issue for parents. So I'm about to land my plane. So my theory is anything that keeps this in the public discourse, anything that makes an election, a referendum, yes or no, do you want penises in your daughter's locker room, that will dramatically help the Republican Party win. So my question for you, and I'm about to land my plane, is as a person that wants the Republican Party to win, as a committed Republican, do you agree that keeping this as the number one issue in the election really helps all Republicans, or am I exaggerating?
1,000%. As a matter of fact, you even more so to amplify that, in the election for president, the Arab vote went to Trump because of this issue. They played this issue heavily at the end, right towards the end of the election in Arab communities. And think about the dichotomy between Harris and Trump on Middle East issues, because this issue was so significant. I completely agree with you. I think it will be in the forefront. It polls at the top, just as you're saying. I mean, Democrats like to think abortion polls at the top. Abortion's like number 9 now on the list, or 10. This is a major issue. And yes, the soccer mom and the suburban mom in Philadelphia, which I was one at one point in my life, clearly that what's happening in their schools and what happens with their school boards, and it's why originally Youngkin got elected in Virginia on these kinds of issues. So it politically, you hit it. It's going to stay in the forefront of the Republican platform, and it will help them. Whether they'll win, there's so many other issues that they're struggling with, but this one is a home run for them.
I have a different point of view.
I agree.
Completely different.
I'm curious, Steve. Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
I fundamentally agree with the sentiment that I think culture issues beat class every time.
Have you been a suburban mom, Scott, in Ballyconwood? Were you a suburban mom in California?
No. What I'm saying is, I think when it comes down to Republicans playing culture over Democrats playing class, I think very often culture wins, right? I mean, I think we saw that in 2024 with a sort of brilliant ad. I mean, it was, that Juan became Juanita in jail, and Kamala, funded it. I do think there's a power to cultural issues, and I think it's one of the reasons why I think it's very interesting. People will say, these people in Middle America are voting against their interests or something. And I always challenge when people say, well, you're saying that their interests are only material, right? So that, I think people on the left tend to dismiss the power of culture and value issues. And so people they might, I would argue the big, beautiful bill probably didn't help economic interests of some of Trump's supporters, but I think their loyalty to him is around cultural issues where he comes to their defense. And I think there's a group of people in the country that feel bullied by the liberal elite. And I'm on the left, so I'm not.
I have a completely different point of view. Case. It happened right about.
I want to hear from Yaakov first, please.
Yaakov, go ahead, buddy.
I can tell you about this case.
Go right ahead.
No, he said, "Go ahead, Yaakov." I'll wait.
Please go ahead, Yaakov. I'm seizing the moderators a badge in order to demand you.
But I do want to hear Steve's opinion.
Yeah, go, Steve. It's fine.
Well, here's some background on me. I was an athlete, a 2-sport athlete in high school. I've coached. I know a lot of these people in the coaching fraternity around here. This particular case, this person comes from a school that is an athletic powerhouse statewide. And since junior high, this particular individual has just been dominating track and field events. Not just participating, dominating. When she got to the state tournament this year, or the state meet, She ended up winning, I think it was number one, the discus. I'm trying to remember which event. But if she had been, if it had been caused to participate in a male event, wouldn't even placed on the podium. So this is how egregious this whole thing has been. It's been common knowledge about this case down here, and track and field coaches just been driving them crazy because, like I say, not only come from a powerhouse athletic school, but to jump into this and then just absolutely dominate and decimate girls track and field has been egregious, to say the least.
Hello?
Well, this is a perfect example of using our values to destroy our values. So we value the participation of women. We've all established that. And it's great for women and it's great for everybody. And here we take the liberal value, which is the idea that we want to accommodate everybody, and we turn it on its head, and we allow people who are not women to eliminate women from a sport in the name of being liberal and inclusive and accommodating. It's a perfect example. Now,
So
I didn't see the ruling.
So I agree with Norm,
Right.
but I actually think it's a blessing for America. A big part of America's success is precisely our progressive community's decision. America's progressive community is unlike the progressive community in most other countries. Our progressive community has take on the most unpopular. Our progressive community has decided to destroy progressivism in America by poisoning it with these cultural issues. It's not only having people with penises in girls' locker rooms, but having people who are males defeat and demoralize girls in sports. But even beyond that, there's this whole range. There's this antinatalism, right? Statistics just came out that progressive young women have less than half as many children as conservative young women. So when progressives, and I'll try to be succinct, when the progressive community goes into our public schools and teaches girls not to have children, they say having children ruins the environment and it's selfish, The antinatalism that the progressive community preaches in our public schools, that is an extinction level threat to everyone with children. Now, I don't want to tell tales out of school, but I know for a fact that there are a lot of people in this room who have daughters who are refusing to reproduce. Their daughters have absorbed the leftism and the progressivism taught in the schools. So their daughters are saying, fuck it, I'm never going to have kids because I care about the environment or I hate the patriarchy. The bottom line is, and every motherfucking person in this room can Google it, it's proven. Progressivism is a suicide cult. It teaches girls not to reproduce. It teaches a lot of boys to cut off their testicles and penises. It teaches stuff that causes extinction, and the entire progressive community is heading for death. It is a suicide cult. Now, why is this good for America? Sounds pretty shitty, but if you think about it, it's really good. In most countries, the progressives stick to economic issues. They have things like in France, they have a law. It's impossible to fire a bad worker, so bad workers get to keep their job forever, right? In Spain, workers get to retire at some young age. In other words, progressivism in other countries is smart enough to focus entirely on economic issues. And on economic issues, the progressives win. If progressives focus 100% on economic issues, they win elections and they fuck your economy, as we've seen all over the world. So America, the blessing of America, the reason America has the most rapidly growing GDP per capita in the world, the reason why America has all these AI companies, the reason America has Elon Musk, the reason America has the incredible things, every single thing we have that's good, that I'm about to land my plane, is it's good because our progressive community has committed suicide by focusing on these crazy policies. And if I was a conspiracy theorist, I would truly believe that the generous, altruistic billionaires of America, they give money to AOC and to Zoran and to all these insane, retarded leftists because it's a poison pill. It's a false flag. A billionaire that gives money to a retarded progressive is helping America because it guarantees that we have a centrist always, and we never get an insane economic progressive ever elected. Okay, I'm done speaking. I'm happy to hear criticism.
Hi, this is.
In other words, it raises the fences against insane progressivism by pushing insane progressivism. It's like an inoculation. Like,
It's an
we use it a
inoculation.
little-
It's an inoculation. We will never have insane progressive economic policies. We'll never have an insane progressive economic policies ever, because progressive economic policies always are stapled to these hateful leftist cultural issues.
Hi, this is Ein. I'd like to address what Andrew said, if I may, moderators.
Sure.
So
Thank you, Ein. I wonder if your last name is Rand.
it is Ayn Rand, and I've been
He just
reading.
left.
Well, that's okay. I
Oh,
really,
he went down below. Sorry.
I see him.
I'm
Andrew,
here. I'm just in the audience, but I'm here. I'm listening carefully.
Andrew, I just want to say I really, really appreciate your comments on this app. I think they're needed. A lot of people in this room who disagree with you need to hear what you're saying. However, I have to disagree because we already have the liberal, progressive spending, debt, borrowing system at hand. Doge has eliminated hundreds of billions in woke spending, which is mostly progressive liberal studies, funding studies. Like in Chicago, they funded a $150,000 economic impact study to find out if they improved the train station, would it make it better? But it's worse than that. If you look at the Doge records, if you go on Doge's X account and you look at the actual screenshots of the contract management system run by Oracle that every single purchaser within the federal government has to submit, you submit a description and a dollar amount. And Elon Musk has said, hey, there's no tracking system on this. Anyways, the point is we already have what you're describing. And if Kamala Harris was elected the president, and AOC's Green New Deal, it would have been an economic terrorism of stupidity, inefficiency, no priority, purchasing and requisitioning things that we do not need as a country, which digs us further into debt, into a debt hole that we are already in, which is of such epic proportions that even these conversations, in my opinion, these cultural debate conversations are completely meaningless when you look at the actual economic condition of America financially. We have built this huge moat since 1946, which is holding the walls up. But the economies of China and India, which is over $100 trillion, make our economy and our debt look insignificant. Real wealth is products and services, not debt servicing. Products and services, which China manufactures for the world. And they will not stop manufacturing real value. Unlike America, where all we do is attention economy and communication economy. We produce nothing. We only provide services. So we are at a huge disadvantage to China. If we don't start building actual products like the fan in my kitchen that I just bought from Amazon Essentials, which was manufactured in China, if we don't start putting Americans to work and we do minimum basic income and expand the social welfare state, we will become the communist states of America, and we already are. Mamdani, AOC, all of these liberal progressives, the mayor of Chicago, Seattle, Los Angeles, Karen Bass is a trained communist agent. So unless the Department of Justice, the civil rights and the fraud and criminal component of the Department of Justice begins making arrests of these phony fraud politicians who are stealing and calling it investment, borrowing, stealing, and then calling it investment. It's not their money. This is money from pensions that people work their lives for, and they're stealing it and calling it investment. We are living with frauds, thieves, liars, miscommunication artists, spammers, and these liberal progressives are imploding the country. And the future economy of America is always going to be capitalism, never communism, because communism is so inefficient and such a horrible economic model and takes the rights away from entrepreneurs. It will become a and we're already there. So I just wanted to thank Andrew down in the audience. And Andrew, see, I'm an entrepreneur. I take risks. That's what entrepreneur means in French. I launched a new dating app I want to talk to you about. It's called $1adate.com. Schedule a local date for just $1. I know you're going to want to invest, Andrew, because it's the hottest app. I've got videos on YouTube with millions of views by beautiful girls talking about it. It's called $1adate.com. And many of the Jewish singles in here who are looking for a little action on the side, you can schedule a local date for just $1. Go to $1adate.com. This is Ayn Rand. I am complete.
I will just say that Donald Trump has added, it's not just a progressive. Donald Trump is on, I think, added two, in the first year of his term, the second term is added between 2 and 2.5 trillion.
1.8 trillion per year.
Yeah, I mean, the stats I saw were 2 to 2.5, but yeah, it's somewhere around 2.
Yeah,
Somewhere around 2. Yeah, so I mean, he's on pace. He'll be on pace to add as much as Biden. So, yeah, and this is yeah, to the debt. Yeah, I mean, this is not as though this is a progressive thing, right? There's not somebody that you can vote for that won't blow up the debt and the deficit. It's just choosing where they will blow it up, right? I mean, that's the option, right? There's nobody that's going to balance a budget or that's going to significantly, at least right now, that's going to significantly deal with the fiscal problems.
Scott, he may have been also completing spending on areas that were cut that were necessary. I mean, we can get into the argument whether the military needed more or not, but the military, to the extent that Biden limited, and he expanded it. So it may, again, you have to get into the specifics on what he's spending his money on. But I do disagree. I don't think Doge, it was billions. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could tell me what was the number. I wish it was more. I really had faith in them that it would be a higher number. And I know so much of the stuff that they uncovered was insane. I mean, especially in the foreign spending that we had. It was ridiculous. But I don't think it was hundreds of billions. Maybe someone can tell me what the number was.
I opened the New York Times website this morning and I saw with interest that USAID was eliminated because it was the enemy of democracy. It was being used as a way to undermine democracy. So I'm really on this idea of abusing our liberal instruments of government to destroy our government itself or to destroy democracy itself. So I want to share with you that under USAID, I went to the former Yugoslavia, went to Bosnia, went to Republika Srpska, went to Sarajevo, I went to Slovenia, went to Ljubljana, went to Banja Luka. And my job there was to train the former Yugoslavians in the use of democratic media techniques and principles. We built television stations, in fact. We created campaign ads. And the State Department let me know who they wanted to win in their elections. Now, European nations were there doing the same thing, and George Soros was there doing the same thing. So here were all these wonderful liberal Democrats trying to impose our vision of how we wanted their elections to go. We were interfering in their elections. We were advocating for our interests. So I have personal experience of democracy being used for anti-democratic ends. So again, the question was asked maybe half an hour ago, what would the solution be? So in the case of USAID being abused, cut it out. In the case of men competing against women in women's sports, the solution is eliminate it. Just stop it. Stop doing crazy things. I heard recently that I forget who it was from. I think it was from Trump, and I think it was from some other Republicans. That his campaign slogan was, "The Democrats are just crazy." The Democrats are just crazy. And in cases like the two that I've listed for you, and there are many others, including wastefulness, I'm talking about this, you said it's a 70-30 issue. I've heard it described as an 80-20 issue, the issue of men and women's sports, or women and men's sports. It's crazy. And, Voltaire said that if you can persuade people to believe the impossible, then you can convince them to do the irrational, which is to undermine themselves. So while Andrew made a point that was extreme with antinatalism, nevertheless, it's a point worth considering. And I know that Yaakov is familiar with the, I think it's called the replacement number, the RN, the number of babies we have to replace our society. And then when we